Today we're looking at how I made track 1 of Silence or Solitude, All the Memories. Hi, I'm Zach. I'm a guitarist, musician, independent artist, church guitar player, and I'm here to talk about all things music, talk about making music, listening to music. So if that's what you're into, I would gladly appreciate it if you subscribed and jumped along the journey. So I want to do this series, if you will, of the making of the songs of my latest album, Silence or Solitude. So there will be 9 of these since there are 9 songs, and I want to go through each song showing the creative process, the kind of behind the scenes of the DAW, some of the decisions I made, whether it be in the mixing stages or in the recording stage, just basically making it and where the idea came from and kind of that whole creative process. So I got this idea from the great Corey Wong. If you don't know Corey Wong, he's a phenomenal funk guitar player, just musician in general, and super talented mixing engineer. He does a lot of his own mixes, and on his YouTube channel, which is great, he's kills the social media content game as well, but he has this series that I'm ripping off, and he goes through the session of, I think he's on Pro Tools, so he goes through step by step of how he made the track and what they did on everything. So I get hooked by those. I love watching those and seeing those, and that's kind of what I thought to do here. So whether you've ever listened to my music or not, I still think it would be fun because you get to kind of see a different mind and a different approach as to how they look at creating music and look at making music and whatever DAW they use. And I am just a guy trying to make the most out of what he has, whether it's tools, resources, skills, whatever it is, and just having fun making it. So if I can share that with you and you get something out of it and you like to see kind of the making of things, then I think this little series will be perfect for you. So I think I annoy enough of my friends and family about talking about every little detail that I don't think they really care about. They're supportive, you know, like good friends and family are, but when they don't really know what you're talking about, they're not really interested, and they're just like, oh yeah, great, you're doing it, and you're you know, whatever. So I think sharing it with people that will potentially find this stuff as interesting as me, this is exactly who it's for. So anyways, I'm excited to get into it. I'm excited to go through the process of each song and just kind of what I was inspired by, what I was interested in at the time of making it. For the first track is All the Memories. So if you haven't listened to it yet, I would really appreciate it if you went and checked it out. It's available on all the different platforms, as well as the rest of the album. And if you're into instrumental, experimental, hip-hop meets alternative meets rock, basically just all of the different genres that I love, I think you'll really like it. If you like a large catalog of music, or you like a lot of different genres, I kind of try to do that here. But without further ado, let's get into All of the Memories, track 1 of my latest album, Silence or Solitude. My latest and only album, Silence or Solitude. Okay, so we are here in FL Studio for the session of All the Memories. As you can see, it's kind of a little bit chaotic because I don't have everything organized the best with color coding and everything. I use color coding because I get a little bit of OCD, so I try to do my best, but I know every song kind of has its own kind of color scheme to it. So I want to get better at using the same color for the same instrument for every song, but we'll get there. The way I have it kind of layered is kind of where it all started. So the first track here is the original sample, and I got this sample, I'm pretty sure it's from Splice or something like that, but as you can see here, I pitched it down 300 cents, so 3 steps, and this is how it originally sounded. So it's cool, but I don't know, it's a little brighter than what I'm normally into, and it's been a while since I did the actual sample chopping on this, and I went through kind of a phase of really getting into sample chopping and working with the different pitches and stuff like that. I seem to go a little bit darker on most things, so this is what it became. So obviously I like that a lot more because that's what I went with, but the whole sample itself seemed a little bit too long, so I chopped it up quite a bit, and that's where the way I did the sample chopping for this, I know there's a million ways you could do it on FL Studio, but if you can see here, I just split up on different bars, and kind of what it becomes, I use for the intro this main beat, or this main sample, but I stopped it before it went to the other components of that sample, and then it goes into what the actual sample melody becomes, or what the loop becomes. Yeah, so you can hear, like, it doesn't sound that great or interesting when it's by itself. I liked it more than what it was, and then just kind of piecing it all together like a puzzle. That seems like how I do a lot of sampling. And then with the drums over top, it just kind of made it a little bit better of a groove. Just kind of like a pretty typical hip hop kind of drum beat that I added on there, which I have 3 different drums that I have here. So for the main verse, and then what would be kind of considered the chorus, or maybe the B section. It's not really a chorus because there's not any words, obviously, but this is just the busiest part of the song. So obviously the hi-hats are going a lot more. And then now back to the sample, where the drums come out. So this is almost like the C section, or what would maybe be a bridge, I guess. It's not really a bridge, but, or a breakdown, I guess more so what it would be. Then you'll see, like, we'll get over, the guitars are kind of doing their thing down there, but going to the individual drum parts, the only difference is, hold on. Yeah, okay, the only difference is some of the hi-hats or some of the kicks, and I think we add another, yes, there's like a little bit of that syncopated kick thing going on in the 2. So nothing crazy, I just kind of alternated back and forth on that. And then it was the hi-hats in the 3rd drum piano roll here. And just made it a little bit busier, kind of going on there. The other thing I added was doing this little percussion. I thought it was pretty cool, but so I basically just did that and then added it into my little keyboard here, and then basically played the octave. Just found kind of the groove with it. It seemed like when I was mixing it, I had kind of a hard time balancing it because it's the wood blocks, or whatever the original sample is, it was just going so much, and I ended up panning it 17% to the right. Why 17? I don't know. I think I was around 15, and then I just wanted it like a little bit more, and then I ended up adding these shakers that we'll go through probably next, and I panned those 30% to the left. So for whatever reason, that was just kind of the number that I picked and felt it sounded the best. It was kind of like taste testing it to where I just was playing with it, and then that's where I ended up landing, and it just felt like it sat in the mix the best right there. So with all three, I don't know, I just feel like it kind of helps add to the groove and gives it a little bit more depth to where it isn't just drums, sample, and I guess it's kind of ear candy, but I don't know, it's not really. And then I just have it kind of coming in on the one there. And then right here going into this C section of the chorus we'll talk it, I like this part where everything goes out but the drums. I mean the bass and the shaker, they stay in, and then that other perk stick, but the sample cuts out and then this percussion jumps out too. And it just kind of adds a little bit more bounce. I don't know. Felt like it was cool. Felt like it was the move to do. And then I do this over here as we go into that section again. So it only cuts out like that twice in the track. And then, let's see, let's do shaker. All right, so I have the shaker here not color coded properly, and that's kind of throwing me off. But the shaker's playing the same part that the percussion is, but it's alternating when it's playing. So when it's in, it's out, except for a couple of these sections where it adds some of the fullness, but it basically, and it's really subtle. And it's almost like a hi-hat. So like if you hear it really loud, what am I at here, 68%? It's such a small amount that I'm playing it, but with headphones, it feels like it's adding kind of a completeness, and it helps kind of give a little bit more to the hi-hats. So basically did the same thing. If we go to the piano roll here, I'm just picking two notes and it's really quiet. Then we're back in. So then the other, we'll go through all the percussion and then just get kind of like the main beat, and then we'll go to like what the guitars are doing and all that, and then the bass. So for the chorus of this percussion, I'm pretty sure it's the same sample that I used. Oh no, this is down here. I used a perk stick and then a spoon perk type thing. So if I go to where's the spoon? I don't know what it's called. This track, I have it horribly laid out, but so in the spoon, this is from Splice, the Murda percussion. Pretty just generic spoon percussion. Plays under the groove of the other perk, and it's kind of doing its own little melodic thing here. So in this chorus section, and they're more or less following each other. I mean, you can see the spoon's doing a little bit more, but, and that's the only time that plays. It's just there on that chorus section, if you will. And then as we're leading into that chorus and then kind of coming out of it, that's where this other perk comes in, and that's just a perk stick one shot. And that just sticks out. It's a little bit louder than the other percussion. And then there's no pan on that one either. So the way that I have it panned for the main perk is the 17%, and then that spoon is at 17%. So that was the one time that I just tried to match it to where they were the same, and then one was going left, one was going right, and then you basically have that loud perk stick right in front, or right in center. Then that's where those shakers, they're kind of just doing their own thing, but they don't play in the chorus section. So that's where I had them be 30%. I think now looking back at it, I think I pushed that about double of what the other one is at 17. The reason I went to 30 is I think because I wanted to give it even more room since it is so quiet. And I could be playing it louder, but I didn't want it to be, I want it to be more felt than I want it to be heard. It was just adding more support to the hi-hats, I feel like, but the reasoning for pushing the panning so far as opposed to just going exactly 17 is since it is a little bit more buried, I wanted it to try and poke a little bit more, but by doing that, or by panning, I thought that I might be doing that a little bit more. So that's basically the reasoning behind that. And the bass, it's more of like an 808 type of bass. I use the 3X oscillator on pretty much every single thing when I'm trying to do 808s, just because it's the easiest for me to figure out and I don't spend any more. And from different research of like learning how to even make an 808 sound, everything leads me back to here. Short attack, medium hold, decay, and then messing with the sustain and then release, and you basically just have this shape and it makes a 808, and then adjust your oscillators and do your thing. But the sound itself is just, you know, anyway, so the bass comes in here, the second verse, I guess, if you will. That's where it's basically just playing and trying to follow the melody of the sample, and that's what I did here, was just by ear try and follow what the melody of the sample chop was doing. So So this itself, with like no guitar, this is just what the beat was, minus the keys. Those keys were in there, and that was just the groove that I'm following. And I think when you add the bass, like when you isolate everything, and this is my first time hearing everything so isolated, there's nothing really special about any of the individual parts. But that's what I like about a lot of songs, and beats in particular, is I don't like super complex beats with so much going on. I like where it's somewhat minimalist, and if you look at this, it's not that minimalist. Like there's beats that are a lot more simple than this, where it's literally just a sample and drums over it, and then that's the beat. They don't have all these extra shakers and percussion. And my reasoning for that is because, especially when I first made this, I wasn't the best at finger drumming or even coming up with my own drums, and I was still learning. I still am learning kind of the art of drums, but I wanted to make it more interesting for the ear and not just be so repetitive and so basic. So then adding all these other layers helped kind of fill the sound a little bit more, and that's how I did that. If we'll go through like my signal chain for everything too, but these are just kind of the layers. And I really liked this beat just for how it is, to where it's a cool vibe that I felt like I could hear a rapper on. But then as I started playing guitar over it, that's where I think I don't know what the first one was that I was like, oh, I want to make guitar or play guitar over it. But this is one of those songs that I felt like there's a lot of room to do lead guitar playing, and it wasn't taking away from the whole experience, and it was all kind of just coming together. So the keys, they play in this chorus section, and then they kind of just play throughout a little bit, and it's doing kind of the same thing. It's just picking parts of the sample melody and trying to follow that. Not really there, just a little bit more melodic, I guess. Nothing too crazy with it. I mean, it's not complex at all, and it's just kind of going down the scale. Yeah. And it does the same thing back here too. So it's not very complicated. And none of these songs on this album are very complicated from a song structure perspective. And not to call them repetitive, but the idea is to kind of follow hip hop, and most hip hop I feel like is kind of the A-B song structure, maybe the C, so that's kind of where I wanted it to be pretty simple and leave more room for some more interesting guitar parts, but also melodic. And none of the songs are extremely long either. They're all about, 2.5, 3 minutes long. Okay, cool. So now going to the guitar part. So this is the first part. And I did all of my guitar recording either with my little multi-effect unit plugged in, so I'd go direct into that and then have that connected to the DAW and then do the recording through there, or I'd have my pedal board into my amp sim and then that into the guitar. So either way, I was always playing with some type of effects baked into the recording rather than just plugging straight DI and then having it all be post effects. I think I like to emulate the live, not live because it's still a live instrument, but I wanted to treat it more as if it's being recorded analog, I guess. And I don't know if that's really a way to do it or not. And I'm sure people that actually record analog are saying like, nah, it's still not that. But for me, having my effects baked into the guitar or the bass or any of the live instruments that I'm playing, I just prefer, and I still have a signal chain that I'm doing and adding more to it, but not as much on the effect side of things. Things like delay and reverb on guitar, I'm pretty much always playing with, and unless it's like funk stuff, but I always love a lot of delay and reverb, and more so reverb than delay, but I play with both, and then a little bit of distortion, and that's basically it. Maybe a compressor. I don't do a lot on there either, but I like a lot of reverb and I like a lot of space, so that's basically what's going on here. I guess in context. So I just found a melody to start playing, and this is just what I thought sounded good with it. And inspiration-wise, I don't know really what the main inspiration is. I think I was just playing and then it sounded nice. And I added another recording, so I stopped that there, and that's like the lead guitar line, and then the chorus is just kind of playing some chords. I think I was playing a C minor, but if we go in and play it, and you can hear some of that pedal volume in there. This I played at the pedal. I gotta figure out a way to do better with my pedal volume, because it drives me nuts in some of these recordings, but I feel like I've gotten better at cutting some of it here in post, but it still doesn't do justice. Like, I had cut a lot there, it still comes through. I like it though for this song because it kind of adds, it's almost like adding the RC20 plugin in a way, or it's like a noise plugin that gives it kind of more of that, I guess, vintage feel, where, you know what I'm trying to say, but something like that. And then I added another guitar part here, which by itself is just a little bit of, so you can hear a lot of reverb in there. And it sounds horrible by itself, I know, but in context, it goes, because it's just subtle in there. And then it kind of plays throughout, so it's just like this little accented, barely there. And normally on other songs, you'll see that I have multiple guitar channels on the rack for the mixer, and I don't have it all just into one. I'm pretty sure this was the first one that I did on the album, because I wasn't even sure I was gonna do it, and then by the time I did it, it all just kind of got in there, and then I ended up getting the signal chain down, and then I just liked it. I liked how it turned out, so I didn't go through the headache of mixing them, and the way that each guitar part was recorded was the same. It had all the same effects, so I didn't feel like I had to do different EQ, or I didn't have to do everything else to make it more complicated. So I just kind of kept it as it was, and I just, yeah, like I said, I ended up liking it. And then I did a lot of the audio kind of adjustments here on these individual tracks on the actual session here. And then you got like kind of some of these parts, and it's just supposed to be kind of like a smoother, cooler vibe, super reverby, super spacious, kind of a little bit, I don't know, I'm trying to find the words, to where it's like a little bit introspective, I guess, or, just has a lot of kind of fun lines to play. So here at the end, I recorded something different. I didn't like it. So then what I did is I chopped up a part of this verse 1 and then just looped it and then called it guitar outro, and then just and added a little animation to fade out. That's it. So that's all the parts, that's all the session as a whole. And as far as the actual mixer goes, where I do a signal chain, is basically I have a drum bus here where the kick, the snare, and the hats are all going there, obviously. And on drums, all I really do is EQ, compressor, reverb, and limiter on this song. This is different than how I normally have done it, but on some of the others, which you'll see, I did different effects to kind of make them thump a little more, a little harder. Like, I have some of the beats are more like boom bap inspired, so I wanted it to have more of a boom bap kind of style and sound. This one didn't. It's a little bit more of kind of a mellow sound, and the drums are still pretty loud to me, but yeah, so a lot of it's just kind of happening here in the drum bus, and pretty basic on there. Same thing with the shaker. Just have like EQ, transient processor, fruity reverb, and a compressor. Sample, the blood overdrive. I added a little bit more color, pre-band, pre-amp, and it just kind of made it stick out a little bit more. And then reverb, again, just big, pretty dry for what it is, because if you listen back to the original sample, I think it already kind of had a few effects on it. Like it wasn't a completely, yeah, it's not a completely dry sample by any means. So I really just wanted to add a little bit more, but very subtly, give it a little bit more of a fullness. And then I like to add this stereo enhancer and just separated it by 30%. So just made it feel a little bit bigger. Percussion, same thing. EQ on everything, transient processor, put the compressor on, and then actually turned off the reverb for that. The spoon perk, basically the same signal chain. Same thing over here. And the bass, I always seem to, so in here I do both, and this might be extra, but I do the soft clipper and sound goodizer, try and beef up that sound a little bit more. And if it's 808s, I'm always beefing it up as much as I can, and maybe even sometimes too much. Like I listen to this track in the car and the bass gets bassy in the car, but when I listen to it everywhere else, I think it's perfect. And my car in general just basses out. I should probably change the EQ settings in my car because I listen to mixes in the car. And other like hip hop songs or anything with an 808 in it, even songs with just actual bass guitar seem to really kind of slap a bit on there. So it just kind of, not that they're crazy speakers, but it just gives it like a rumbling, and the bass is never that clean, is more so what I'm trying to say. So it felt like a lot of dialing in on the bass and trying to figure it out, but I don't know, I'm happy with it in headphones, on the phone, with regular speakers, and you know, it's really just in my car. So if I listen to it in a different car, I might like it more. But that seems like where I'm having to do most of the work is in the bass, because the bass never feels right for whatever reason. When I do 808s, like they're either too quiet or they're too loud. The Sound Goodizer, which is a saturation plugin, I feel like that's like the 808 cheat code, and I don't know, I have it at what, 27%, so kind of feel that out and then check these levels. But sometimes these levels don't fully give me the best reading in the mix. Like I have it right at -6 dB, and you know, here in the DAW, it's like, oh, the guitar sounds pretty loud, but I have the guitar pushed more forward because, again, it's acting as the lead vocal. So it's going where a vocal would be. So it has to sit the loudest in the mix, versus this additional guitar is more so acting as like a rhythm, just kind of a secondary piece. This additional guitar is a lot more quiet, obviously, because it's not acting like the vocal. So there's other tracks on this album that are like show that better, but the synth 2, which I have here, is keys. It's keys synth. It's basically just 3x oscillator on there that I used, and that one just sounds like this. So just your typical synth rather than a 808. And I don't know much about synth, so I don't know the right terms for them really, other than like you got the 808s and the saw wave and triangle waves and some of the different shapes, but that instead of keys, that's what that little part is doing. And then that's panned as well. To the right, 14%. And that was another kind of by ear thing. It just felt like it was pretty quiet in the mix, and I had it quiet in the mix. Even pulling that fader down to 65% still felt like it's prominent in the mix, and I wanted it to be, but not in the way and obnoxious, because the melody, it's kind of just a basic little ear candy melody, if you will, that just kind of, I don't know, I feel like it supports the groove, but it doesn't, I don't want it to take away from anything, and definitely not be a star of any of the show for this song, so, or track or tune, whatever you want to call it. So this has a little bit more on it, same kind of thing. Do the EQ, stereo enhancer, Sound Goodizer, fruity reverb. Basically on this synth, I feel like the main secret weapon on it's this Valhalla Supermassive. This is a free plugin, I'm pretty sure. I love this plugin. I've had it for years. It's just a delay. It's got all these different modes, and I I pretty much always use Gemini, but I haven't really messed around. There's a couple other that I've messed around with. I think Great Annihilator, Hydra, maybe. Most of these I haven't messed with, but I really like it because it gives it a very cool, unique sound that you're not gonna get just out of the stock delay plugin here on FL Studio. I really like it. Then add a little bit of reverb on here, make it big. I only have the wet level at 25. Not super wet, but you get a lot of that from the Supermassive. Most plugins that I have are free. I use a lot of stock plugins or the plugins that came with the package for the FL Studio package that I have, the producer pack or whatever it is. I haven't spent that much on plugins because I try to keep it simple too. And I'm the same way with pedals. Like, I know there's so many players in guitar that like are constantly hunting different tones with like different sounds. And for me, I just like to play, and it's not that it sounds good enough, but I like to figure out how can I sound the best with what I have. But I like more of the live instrument plugins that I can get. Like I have Addictive Drums, and then I have Addictive Keys from that same company. I forget who it is, but that's what I use for a lot of piano sounds and different keys. Paid for those, and that's basically it. I don't know exactly what all I've paid for, unless you count the FL Studio ones that I've got. But anyways, on guitar, this signal chain, I probably spent the most time on because I have the Denoiser Classic. This is a free plugin. This just helped remove some of that pedal noise that was coming in. And then just your basic EQ and do compression. The Blood Overdrive just gives it a little bit more grit. I added a little bit more delay on here, so not much, just like 25% on the wet input, but kind of gave it a little bit more that I didn't feel like I got in the actual recording, and I feel like it went with the song better. And added a limiter on it because it was getting a little hot. Ended it with a little bit of reverb. Yeah, so that's the session for All the Memories. This is by far the most disorganized of all of it. This is track 1, and I knew this was going to be track 1 just because of the name, which it was originally named All the Memories when it was just a beat years ago. I ended up liking it, just even because looking at the signal chain now, there's a lot of imperfections to it. So this one's been, I think, done the longest, and there's a lot of things on it that I would do very different. But I don't know, I just felt like I liked it how it was with all of the imperfections in the chain and everything like that. But for all the songs kind of moving forward, it's a bit more of a cleaned up process in terms of the organizational structure, signal chains, and the mix in general. So not that this mix is not where I want it to be, this mix is where I want it to be, and that's why it is that way. But that's what I'm just saying is, you know, I didn't feel like I had to go in and fine tune everything because for some reason with this song, it just all kind of worked. So anyways, that is it for All the Memories, and I hope you're enjoying the album and like the songs and like this type of video. So let me know what your thoughts are on it, and if you want to see more of these, like I said, I'm going to do these for all 9 of the songs and just try and keep getting better at it and explaining it. I thought I was going to do a lot better kind of breaking this down, but you're never that great at anything the first time you do it. So we're kind of building the plane as we fly it here together. So thanks for joining along, thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to my music. So hope you guys take care and stay tuned for the next ones.